What is up? This is Workbringer, and it's week 2 of Mythic Plus in Shadowlands. Having a good time, and this is my very first Tyrannical, and my also very first Storming. And I told the group that, and it's like literally the first day, so really no one has done very much of this. And we're doing a +8. Unless you did the beta, but then even the beta was a little different, right? So I tell everyone I'm pulling kind of small. Let's just see how this goes. A couple other people here have also not done storming. Again, this is like I think like an hour or something. It's not long into the reset, I believe, something like that. Anyway, you'll see now that the mobs aren't killing me outright, right? +7 fortified. That big mob does the damage, but what's new is we don't have volcanic, which I almost never got hit by the volcanoes, but we have these tornadoes, and that's what storming is. So last week the trash trucked like more health, more damage. Now it's like, this trash isn't too scary. So I'm like, okay, let's pull them all together. Let's try to get through this. The issue now is that okay, I'm getting wrecked by multiple things at once, and I'm just new to the tornado thing. I'm like, what is this tornado? I'm not used to this at all. I don't know how much damage it does. It knocks you up, and then you get. I'm new, okay, so I'm not used to these tornadoes. But last week, volcanic at this level, if you had 3 affixes. On ranged players, it would spawn a volcano and then they need to move. So it didn't really affect me as the tank all that much unless I'm cutting around. In this case, it'll spawn, I believe, on the ad. And then the tornado just keeps kind of randomly spinning around. So, well, the mobs don't hurt as much. Like, you still don't want to get hit, right? But like this pull, I usually Divine Shield right into the beginning of it. And then Guardian of Ancient Kings directly after. I'm just like, I'm going to die to this main mob. And they also take a lot longer to kill. And, well, we do have a MM Hunter doing what MM Hunters do, which is 11k DPS. Sustained DPS. To a pack of, 4 or 5 mobs. It's a lot. Sustained. I can burst up to it, but I don't stay there. I come back down to 6 usually. Yeah, 6k, something like that. Anyway, we're not dying to these outright from damage. However, the bursting the storming sort of makes it it makes it like you're fighting one of the bosses, because the bosses will do this type of constant AoE floor stuff. But with the boss, there's normally only 1 or 2 things to deal with. In this case, if I double pull, which I did do in Halls of Atonement, I actually triple quad pull sometimes if we have a gargoyle. Why not? Well, the why not is 1, bolstering, and then 2, a lot of tornadoes come out, and it gets to be a bit of chaos. Even if we're not dying outright to damage, we are dealing with a lot of tornadoes. And see, this is a bit of a dicey moment. And I'm eating tornadoes. I think everyone's probably eating a couple tornadoes as we, are getting used to this. I run over the black stuff. GG, that's not good. But I'm kind of like, wow, this is different. I would normally be just dead to damage, but now I'm dead to this extra mechanic. So I'm like, okay. And we proceed. So what's fun about Tyrannical, right? Which we're about to get to our first Tyrannical boss. At a key this is a mid key. For me, it's a high key, but it's a mid key. I think 15 we call 15 and higher. Those are high keys, right? But I guess it depends on who you're talking to. For me, at current gear level and pug level, I'm not pugging 10s. I'm not pugging 15s. I'm dying to these tornadoes out here. What's great at this high key is that these mobs don't just kill me outright. If I pull them wrong, if I don't have all my cooldowns ready, I'm popping cooldowns on Fortified +8 on every pull. Every single pull, we're popping cooldowns. This one, not really. I still have Divine Shield, right? That's not common for Mists. At this point, I've popped everything at least once, if not twice, because I have that talent now. So I'm just not worried about the trash, and that's kind of a nice relief compared to Fortified all last week. I got to intimately learn the names of every mob that will destroy you if you skip an interrupt, if you pull too many, the bears, the lions, the mana worms, a lot of Spires of Ascension stuff, the slimes. A slime explodes on you on a +9 plague fall, you die. It doesn't matter, like through cooldown. Like through like your best mitigation, not an immunity, but your best mitigation, still kill you. +9, doesn't matter. That's no longer the case. Now they'll just shoot a tornado at you and then that'll kill you. And then you walk through the black stuff again and that'll kill you. But the slimes in Plagueful don't kill you anymore outright. And what's stressful about that as a tank when you're doing that, Fortified, is that there's so many of them. There's so much trash, right? So every single trash mob or almost every other one has the ability to kind of like one-shot you if you're not paying attention. And there's so much of it, right? So now I can kind of like, my brain gets to like relax a little bit during the trash pulls, and I'm just having, you know, normal trash pulls. Like I do some interrupts. Obviously, don't stand in the bad stuff, even though I even do stand in the bad stuff, and I'm not dead. And we got to dance with these tornadoes, which right here, I always tank it up here for time. I should probably tank this in the middle of the room. So Tyrannical, the bosses have more health, and they have a variable amount of damage increase. I'm not sure how much it is per. They cite like a range from like 0 to 15 or something like that, 0 to 30. I forget. It's more damage, though the damage isn't. I haven't exactly noticed it too much. Is me dying to like normal damage, but what I can definitely say at +8, +9, +7 2, I think, is that on Tyrannical, if it already wasn't going to... See, this is a really bad plan, and boss positioning now I care a lot more about, and that's kind of the lesson of this particular dungeon, is that now I actually have to care about boss positioning and mechanics a lot more than I did during Fortified, because on Fortified, you just kill the boss and they die. And you do the mechanics like twice, 3 times if things have gone poorly. On Tyrannical, you're just here for a long time killing this boss. And, we a lot of mistakes were made here. And this is everyone. I think this is like almost everyone's here, like first, +8 for the week. We're all like, what is this tornado going to be like? What are the bosses like? And we're all just like typing in between pulls with auto run. At least that's how I do it. I hit auto run and then type. We're all just like, oh, this hits different. This is a different dungeon, right? It's like the same trash, but you play it differently. You think about it differently, and coming to terms with that here. So this one's not too bad, but there is a point where I corner myself in between that frontal, all the tornadoes, all the blue things on the floor. It's a little funny. It gets a little funny. And I think that's about to happen here. And for me, next time, I am going to not tank the boss here. This is just too limiting. Why do this, right? We should definitely be tanking it in the middle of the room, give us some room to, not get stuck. And I get a long, spoiler, I get stuck on multiple bosses on this instance because I'm not used to having to fight them this long. All last week when I was learning these and all, Mythic 0 and whatnot, it's like you don't really deal with the mechanics because you just deal with them once and they don't one-shot you and it's no big deal. Here's much different. If I eat one of those blue ones, like the hunter probably just did there, we dead. So this starts to look a bit like a wipe, and I'm realistic about things like what can we not kill, but I'm looking at the health bar of this mob and I'm like, nah, let's get this. So I kind of rally a bit. I have Avenging. Oh, I didn't even pop Avenging. Well, I didn't care that much. But yeah, we get it. And that fight was made harder. Everyone's typing now, like, F my life. Like, this is so much harder. Like, 8 mists before, we would have killed that thing in, like, a minute. You lust it, and it's dead. It just dies. You gotta lust at the right time. But you just usually melt the boss. You don't mechanic it into, like, what did we do? Like, we did full 3 phases. Or we did all the phases 3 times. Like, that's so long. But yeah, what I need to do is tank that boss in the middle of room, and especially if we have melee, which we do, that we just need space to get away. Now, what I would say hurts this group. Now, we weren't going to time this no matter what, and I will take the blame of that because it's a different tanking strategy for the first boss and the last boss. The second boss is about the same, to be honest. Am I eating that tornado? Yeah, I am. Oh, am I going to eat another tornado? Yeah, it's fun. I got wings. Let's fly. But the first and second boss, different strategy. It's a different strategy than I ran last week, like 10 times in this place. It's a different game. Now, but what I will say is that like we are terrible at the puzzle here. Like really bad at it. And it comes to haunt us, spoiler alert, multiple times on the guessing game boss. I forget her name. And I have an altered strategy. I have a different perspective on the... Actually, I take it back. I have a different strategy for this boss that I'll try to explain. I have a different strategy for all the bosses here. Oh, someone dies to spears that isn't a tank. Than I did when it's fortified. So bosses being harder. Okay, I did have to pop some cooldowns here. I think that's the only time in this trash. This trash is not bad. Maybe I'm just eating too much spear. Eating too much spear for breakfast. But yeah, each boss... different strategy. So while we're dealing with this trash, right, nothing too remarkable. I don't think we wipe on trash, but man, do we suck at the puzzle. And I am very bad at the puzzle, to be honest. The maze puzzle. Still not good at it. Still don't really understand from a top-down perspective. Sometimes, like, where's the first totem? I don't get it. And I just stamp on my totem, and I'm like, I think we all look at the healer and we're like, okay, you're big brain healer, right? Healer has to kind of know the damage profiles. They need to know the fight pacing. You also be solving this puzzle. That's your job. And so I'm just sitting on a totem. I'm like, go get it. You go get it. And yeah, this takes too long and is definitely a bad sign. It's actually one of the things that keeps me away from being a Holy Paladin, because I think Holy Paladin looks an awful lot of fun. And despite its overall difficulty, in my opinion, is extremely well represented at the high-end Mythic Plus and high-end rating right now. The rating is quite different, but people are doing it. And just because people can do it, I'm not saying it's like the middle class. I'm just saying like it makes me feel better that people can kind of do it pretty confidently and throw up huge numbers. Like, you can glimmer the boss too. You can also like atonement to heal more. I consider it atonement because I know more about disc. I'm just eating that spear. You can atonement damage and you can atonement heal, and then if you're carrying, you have divine toll, which puts glimmer on everything. It's pretty cool. I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I'm not trying to solve this puzzle. And at higher keys, I can just be like, you know what? I don't do mists. But I think, well, actually, I share gear, not Bis necessarily, but like generally, I could switch to H-Pal, and I think I would have. I have like pretty decent 201 now. I have 201. I think I'm like a little bit lower when I ran this, but I'm 201 now, like day 2 of the second week. I'm like, I have pretty decent 201 H-Pal gear. It's not like Bis for like I think I have some stem slots that should be like intellect. I'm not really sure, but pretty good gear. I'd hop into it, and I would just be like, you know what? I don't do mists. I'm sorry. If we're doing mists, I'm the tank, and I just no-brain it, right? I just do what I can. But yeah, if I'm gonna heal, maybe I don't do this place, or I just watch. I've watched Growl's videos. I've watched all the things on how you do this puzzle, and I'm like, when I can't find the first totem, like that totem right there is on the bottom left. That's the one. That's the first one. Then you look at the other ones, and I get the deal when they're all up there. But sometimes it's hard to see. You can't see them all at once. I'm not about that life. And in that way, I truly hate this dungeon. I hate that I have to think that much. I want to like eventually kind of overgear it and just like not think about it. But there's always this element here for the healer, for somebody that you have to think about this. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Not really think that much. I'm going to look at the mechanics. It becomes muscle memory, and you know what to look for, and you overgear to some degree. Like I'm getting to that point. Maybe not for Tyrannical. Actually, I kind of am at the point with Tyrannical. You just have to not mess up the mechanics. I probably should have fast forwarded this part, but let's just relive the pain together of when I get nobody. And I've run a guild group actually with voice comm, so I'm in a guild now, and I've played a couple of times consistently with another guild that I'm not in, but I'm like, it's a cool group. And voice comms is like everything, man. Like that's the way this game's supposed to be played. Though I'm a pugger, man. I'm a pug life. I just like you get in and it's quick. But when you end up in a situation like this, you have the pain. And so I played with this. It wasn't the guild I'm in. I was playing with a guild over voice comms, and we were doing like +6 or something like that last week. It wasn't Fortified. And like everyone was solving the puzzle. The Demon Hunter DPS solved the puzzle. I mean, that's a jumpy class. They can just jump all over the place and get it. But everyone was solving the puzzle, and I wasn't. I came into that place. I was like, hey, listen, I'm gonna stand at a totem. That's my part. I am 1/5 of the solution to this puzzle by standing still and mounting and self-healing, maybe. That's it. So that's really the best, is when everyone can do it. And you will see this is such a painful. I wish I had fast forwarded this. I'm looking at the timeline. I have so much pain ahead of me to relive, but I want to show this. You can fast forward on the YouTube video. I'll probably fast forward when I watch it back. But it's like, this is the pain of not understanding the puzzle. And it shows, it rears its head on the boss as well. But anyway, voice comms is like the way. See, I'm so confused. I'm like, how come there's no front one here? There's only 4 gates. I don't get it, bro. Like, what? So you look at all 4, and then you do the game. That dude's not standing on it, and people get off of it. Like, I need to see them all at once. And so they got it. Cool. But when you're on voice comms, everyone can kind of contribute to the solve. And then they're like, oh, it's that one. And you hear it, and then you look. But when it's pug mode, if the tank doesn't just jump on it, who's me, sometimes we just sit there not killing stuff. So what's funny is you can see the boss room is right there, I think. I think that's it. I can see the boss. Now, I suppose just because you can see it, it doesn't mean it's the right door. And it's probably completely luck, but almost every time I've been able to kind of peek over the thing and see that that's the next one, it has been, I think. Again, I don't know the full rules of this place. I guess if I had to like really spend like 30 minutes to like invest into like mechanics, it would be this maze part, because I'm always in here and I'm just confused. It's just superstition and confusion. All the other bosses, no, I say that, and when we go into Tyrannical, Spires of Ascension +2, you can still just die. I'm overgeared for that place, but I don't need anything from Spires +2. I don't need anything from that dungeon at that level, and I still get one shot to the first boss. See, it was like right there. I don't know. Anyway, so we're hopping into this Mistcaller. God. Okay, so what I normally do on Fortified, even high key, is I kind of plot myself over in the corner and do nothing. Don't get hit by the blue thing. If the fox is near me, run away. Interrupt patty cake, because it will one-shot you. But now there's a tornado, and the extra tornado is throwing off my strats. Like I'm completely off. And what's even more dangerous is I'm far away from the Mistcaller. Should they patty cake me, is pretty sure one shot. And I believe I illustrate that. And I'm getting tornadoed, because you know what? I'm not used to tornadoes. There, I got the patty cake. I'm not used to tornadoes here, man. And so what I'm doing that's very bad, that I've realized, and only from this run, and now I'm analyzing it for the first time. Do I Hodge Fox? I do not. Sad. What I'm noticing is I'm taking this thing on the side of the room, and it's very hard to know where that dodge ball is coming from. Interrupt? Thank goodness. And that leads to people being killed, because normally dodgeball doesn't hurt that much. And we've already probably burned this. We don't even have that many dodgeballs in the game, right? When we're running it, there's just not that many. Because we burned the boss down so quick, but not on a Tyrannical. Do I patty cake? I do. Lucky. Dodgeball. So when dodgeball's on the end at the room like that, it's too hard to tell where it's going to be. And it kills everyone. So this is first lesson of Tyrannical Mistcaller with storming. We're going to take it in the middle of the room. Now, I'm not sure I've even noticed that, because look at me, I'm just like, thinking. I should have just wiped immediately to reset it. But I'm looking at that. Everyone's looking at that run, and we're like, last week, I forget who said it. I was like, last week, this boss, we just lolled through it. It was big lol, and we get lost coming through this maze. We're a mess. This is not a good run, but it's a good learning run. And that's kind of what first Tyrannical of the week. I don't think anyone's that surprised. I'm surprised, but I don't think we're that surprised that this is harder. It's much different. I don't remember if this is the point where like I said it to myself, I'm going to tank this thing in the middle. We all died to dodgeball. Why did we die to dodgeball? I've never died to dodgeball. I have never wiped this. Oh no, I have not changed my ways yet. I don't know what I'm thinking. Yeah. So round 2 of the same mistake. Dodgeball there, very harder than it should be to tell if you're going to hit. Now I'm interrupting like a boss. I'm popping deeps, like that's going to matter. You can't out deeps Tyrannical. Maybe with Prideful, but like you're sitting through these phases. We are ice trapping. Okay, yeah, we ice trapped, and then the Ellie Shaman broke the ice trap, I think is what happened. But we're about to kill the Vulpin, so it's all good. Now, okay, yeah, see, I got tornadoed into dodgeball, but I'm a tanky boy, so I lived. I think this is where we experience the one-shotness of this. Now, my health is a little low. I'm not popping cooldowns, right? And I am going to... I think this is the one where I'm going to die to patty cake. There it is. Can I get it? It's not yet. But I don't know what's going on. It's the phase, you know, when like you can target multiple things. And I think I was lazy and I tab targeted and I missed it. Hodge the Fox give people a tiny bit of a breather, but not for long. He's coming. He's going for you. He's coming for you. And we're just out here doing the patty cake interrupt. We lost someone. It's already probably not going to happen. And then I tornado into a dodgeball, into a tornado, into a like the tornado. Yeah, I'm getting thrown. I'm just not used to this. And my normal tank strategy is to sit right here, and people are dying. We're at 50%. This is wipity here. Yeah. Lesson learned in Tyrannical. Probably should have run this lower, but I just wanted to feel an 8. I wanted to push. I haven't timed an 8 yet, still have not. I'm not sure that this is the push week. People have been telling me who do this a lot. They're like, yeah, you're probably not pushing higher than you did last week here. 8 a dodgeball, genius. And cannot get the interrupt on time. And it one-shotted me and I was like half health. So I ate a dodgeball. I'm only watching this now in retrospect. So this is like what a lot of raiders do, is they look at logs. And I learned this from some of the streamers that I really like. It's like you watch your replays and you analyze, because like you, in the moment, you're not going to always find it, right? Especially if the group's kind of raging, which this group is pretty chill. Everyone's like, this many wipes into like this. I've had people leave, right? But I think people want to see what the bosses look like here. So it's a bit of an exploration. But yeah, I'm doing my post-game analysis, and we're a bunch of clowns looking for the entrance. It's so bad. But I think we're all just coming to terms with, like, we have to all adjust how we normally do this boss. Because in a fortified week, it would be like pull, dodgeball, you know, and then you're in the next phase, guessing game. And then it's only like a minute later, next guessing game. 30 seconds later, boss is down, right? So it's like 2 minute, 30 engagement, maybe. This one's just a little, and it's probably even shorter than that, to be honest. Like I could look at my other ones. But this is much longer, different strategy. You have to plan differently, and you got to move like crazy because of the tornadoes. Anyway, spawn the boss right on top of the thing, kind of sketch. We're going to guessing game, so we're DPSing pretty strong here. And I'm in the middle of the room, which is a much different place to be, but I actually kind of like it. I can kind of see things. Dodgeball is a little bit easier to tell where it's going to come from. But what happens is that I don't jump. My question to myself was kind of like, can I just tank the boss and not engage with the game? In a pug with no voice comms, this is what happens. Okay, so this should be just titled the Wipe Fest of Tirna Scithe. There's something like that. And it's like how to tank Tirna Scithe incorrectly on Tyrannical. These are all strats that were fine last week that are not fine now. And I think, kudos to Blizzard for all these affixes, like really changing how the game works. Same dungeon, better gear. My gear is like, I'm killing it. I'm 201. Like I'm pretty strong. Doesn't matter. It's mechanics, and they changed the nature of some of the things. I'm putting markers because I'm like, we're coming back. We're coming back, team. Here's the path. We're not timing this key. No one's expected to time. Look at this from downtown behind me. Drop the marker. That's how good I am at wiping. I know how to drop trail markers, breadcrumb trails. These are all the wrong ways to approach this. So now I'm like, okay. I think we all are having this moment. It's like, there's tornadoes. So keep it moving. If the fox comes, get the boss away from the fox, right? Like, let's get it. Here's a tornado. I should probably move. And I'm just going to eat a tornado instead. That's better. Dodgeball in the center of the room. Slightly easier for people to tell what's going on. And we're just running around these things. Is the fox there? No, this hunter's fox looks like the fox. That's not good. No, they trapped it. And we didn't break the ice trap. Legit. Interrupt. Bow. Okay, we're going to dodgeball over here. But I do mark the one we're supposed to get. I mark it, do some DPS, but then get right back on the boss. In case of patty cake. You don't want to miss the patty cake. Do I eat this? I do. I'm still eating dodgeballs like, what do they call it? There's a name on YouTube that they, I forget what it might be offensive. I probably shouldn't like parrot Reddit and Twitter and YouTube, the Warcraft sayings or whatever names. But yeah, if you completely, I think, is no brain bad? I don't know. I feel like if you no brain this like me, you can still live through a dodgeball if you're high health. Okay, we interrupt. We're doing the fox. I've kind of gone back to muscle memory. This corner is just like my happy place, but it does make it harder to dodge. It does make it harder to dodge the tornadoes. I suck at these tornadoes. It's better to be in the middle. So I'm looking. Do I find it? I'm looking at all the stuff, and yeah, it got marked. I'm not sure if I marked it or not. But yeah, we find it, and it's chaos out here, man. Like tornadoes plus tyrannical. Come on, like it's bosses that have floor abilities that you have to dodge already have even more. Like what? And it's longer. This is mental fortitude, but it looks like we're doing it. Like I don't know how many wipes this was. Whatever, 4, 100, 1,000,000. Like it took this for a group that's probably pretty geared, pretty experienced with this so far to be like, okay, it took us this many times, but we're doing it. We're progressing at least. It's kind of like, this is what I like about, and plus it's like a 5-person progressive raid, but like completely pug. Like we have progressed through this. We've gotten better at it. It'd be one thing if now I did a Plaguefall 9 that I don't think I did record it. I'm not going to put it out there. It's just bad. But we wiped 3 times to one boss and we kept getting worse at it. And that's when you leave. That's when it's like, okay, friends, like we're getting worse at this boss, like truly not learning. And it's like, okay, yeah, I think at that point you basically go like, okay, let's do one more, right? Everyone's like, okay, we'll do one more. This one we got better at it each time and at least did it differently. So there it is. That's in my opinion, again, this isn't my guild, this isn't voice comms, like completely pug, but that's like pug Mythic Plus progression. And honestly, even though we're not going to time it, like the pressure's kind of off now. It kind of feels, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to push and learn new mechanics though, because like when I go into this Mists again, I know how to tank it. I know how to tank the first one. I know how to tank that one better. I still, there's still always the guessing game element of it, but I know what's at play on a Tyrannical, and I didn't a little bit ago. We're all typing about like FML about this. Yeah, and no one's too sour about it. We're still gonna. I'm still very confident that we can finish. That confidence is quickly evaporated, and then it becomes fear. Spoiler again for the last boss. Again, strategies need to be altered, but I'll talk about that when I get there. We'd still all like to finish this, right? You can still get like some loot possibly. And I think a lot of, for me, I just want to see it. Like, what's this last boss look like? Like, what's the deal? Clearly, Mistcaller is different. Like, what do we do here? And people die here, I think. I'm not sure why. Because the trash is easier. Like, here, that's like my cooldowns to sit through this. And we're going to sit and kill this trash for like a while. Like, but like they're dead already on a +8. Like, obviously all the spice went into the bosses. So, but I'm so used to looking at this trash and taking like a huge deep breath and being like, let's go. Now it's kind of like, okay, we're killing the trash. Like, what am I gonna do for this boss, right? And I think that's like maybe the more traditional way of even thinking about World of Warcraft. It's definitely what I'm more used to because I come from Cataclysm, where like, and I never got above doing higher than heroic dungeons. That's all. That's what I did the entire Cataclysm. I think at one point I was a Shadow Priest or something, but I was tanking Blood Death Knight, I think, Cataclysm, and all I did was heroics the entire time, and it was hard because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know every class. Like I know more about every class than I do now than I did then. But back then I was like, I don't know what hunters do. What's CC? People were like having to like tell me what CC was. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm like, you can stop a mob? Like, what do you mean? That was a long time ago. I'm not saying I'm that much better, but I'm trying more actively to be better than that. But yeah, you were. It was in Kata. It was the mobs. There were dangerous packs, especially in the beginning when you're low geared. I'm more geared now than I was even after like I think a year of Cataclysm. I've gone further. But yeah, the mobs, it wasn't so bad, but it was the bosses. It was getting one shot by like the stone golem stomp and like I can't even remember the Kata dungeons anymore. I ran them so much though. I love them. Yeah, and actually I think there were some tornadoes in Kata as well. I'm kind of remembering. Terror. But yeah, we're overcount because of the jungle, the maze, so we don't, but even if we weren't, I mean, we could probably, if I double pulled these, then it would be like a normal fortified pull. If I double pulled, like we have our shaman, like mass interrupt, I still have divine shield, I still have guardian, I still have my huge cooldown, so I could double pull, immune for 8 seconds, silence all the bad stuff, focus the bad ones down, and then guardians for the rest, and probably would have been fine. So I'm running into this one like an idiot, and I'm like, why even run in? Healer's not full. But I think we're anxious to wipe on this. I think there's hope. Like we're not timing, but we've probably all run this 10 times at least. I've run it a lot, an awful lot, and it's like never wiped on this ball. I've never wiped this even on my highest. We've come close maybe, but I never wiped it. Well, there's a first time for everything. I eat that one. I'm not sure why, but I did. And I think it's because I'm a tanky boy. And on Fortified, this boss doesn't hit that hard. Even on the 7 that I did. I think that was one of my last videos. It's like, I just run through the floor effects. It's kind of like, ow, 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 no big deal, like Word of Glory. Not on Fortified. Not on Tyrannical 8 is not. So it's now like reckoning to start to take these bosses a lot more seriously and come up with a different strat. So my normal strat is I run to this boss, I turn them around, and I sit there and I dodge the stuff, and generally I stay right here, interrupt the parasitic thing, and it dies. So even on, I would say, +8 Fortified, we'd be done. We would have been done. And look at the health. Yeah, they have like 30% more health. Okay, that gets interrupted, right? So here's the extra part is this last extra phase here to get this extra 40-30% health down that this thing has. We don't normally do that. And so I start moving because look at all the green stuff, and I don't normally have to move. I did this for an entire week, a lot, at relatively levels, and I never had to move. And then look at all this. I get blown up. I think whoever, I could have immuned that. I just wasn't expecting it. Never died to that before. Didn't know to think about it. And I'm just explaining to the group right now. It's like, this is a wipe. Like this will eat everyone. Like you have to look at how much damage. Like I have damage taken on my meter now. Look how much damage I take. No one else in this. I mean, obviously, I'm like bragging. I'm like, that's what tanks do. We just eat and mitigate as much as we can. If that thing comes and even does like its auto attack on anyone else, they're dead. Like I think we have the Earth Ellie out, and they get it to 10. They have a hunter with a pet and the Earth Ellie, but like he just eats them. It's not gonna happen on Tyrannical. And I basically just explained to them. I was like, everything was fine, but I ended up in a corner, literally surrounded by green circles, and I died. And I was like, I mean, this is like obvious. I was like, I am not used to this fight going so long. And yeah, it's obvious. I was just like, I'm not used to this fight going that long, and I cornered myself with green circles, and that's not how it worked last week. So I try to be pretty typey and vocal, and this group is cool about it. Not all groups appreciate that. It really depends on people's attitude on it. But I think it was the healer. It was one of the blue boys. One of the shamans was like, it's like you should try kiting it. You should try tanking it like on the corners of the room. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, I was like, that is where I did it. And we talked. I didn't say it like that, but I was like to myself, I was like, what? But I thought about it a bit more, and I was like, okay, so I'm getting stuck with these blue circles, and it's just like the third boss in Spires. Where that big golem or whatever they're called, they leave circles on the ground, and you just have to kite around the room and leave the circles in a place that you can still get around. And actually, I think every dungeon has a mechanic like that on the bosses, but I've never had to do that to this one. I just usually sit his big slug butt in the middle and we kill. But in this case, I tell them, I'm like, okay, here's how we're going to do this, or how I'm going to do this. I died to green stuff. Let's not die to green stuff, right? So I tell them I am going to go to the green marker in the back. That's where I normally tank and just kill this boss. But then I'm going to proceed clockwise. I'm going to go from green to purple to red to square. And so this is where Mythic Plus pugs, and I thought someone was AFK, so I'm just like sitting here, and they're all clearly ready. I thought someone was AFK. So I'm just like sitting here like an idiot. But whatever, we're over time. We're going to get this. But this is Tyrannical's kind of cool in that pugs become raids. They become mini raids. Like, I'm not usually having, actually the other side is I need markers too, but I don't normally have to put markers on a boss like this and like actually talk about it too much. And so this is cool. This is mini progression. Mini progression. Obviously nothing like my raid's doing, or my guild's doing heroic pushing right now and is probably going to start doing mythic. And I'm not in the group, and I'm not really a raider. Definitely not a tank raider either. But like, I hear them talking and seeing how that's going and how many attempts there are on the same boss, like 10 or something like that, you know? This is my mini version of it. This is how much I have time for, and I like making the videos about it. And so this is cool. This is my progression. This is what I came here for, you know? It's about the failure. It's about the learning. Like, if you never failed it and you just one-shotted every boss every single time forever, that wouldn't be very fun. That's like the goal. But, you know, this failure, but continue to progress on each boss, like Mistcaller. That took us a couple times, but we came up with this strat, and I think all of us going into this, I wish this was a guild group. Actually, I feel like my guild probably knows this already, but like I think they were in the beta. Like, I didn't do the beta, so like they've been killing these bosses for like months. I've been killing them for weeks at this point. We all have new strats coming into this, and I don't know all the affix rotations, and I honestly am not going to research them. I kind of enjoy learning them and seeing them in person. Maybe I will look them up, because now I have like visceral memories of like, oh, Fortified, that means I'm dying in Spires and Halls of Atonement, and now I'm like Tyrannical. This is my first high, again, high for me, but mid key Mist. I'm like, oh, I'm dying to the patty cake boss. and this one we gotta kite like its big slimy butt. We gotta distribute the slime. And you'll see that this is working perfectly, right? DPS more or less kind of stay in the middle so that we can mind link away from each other, which I'm sure DPS would love to stay in the middle. That's great. And I'm the one doing the dance. And look how far away the greens are, right? And I think they despawn. So I'm looking at the other markers. I'm like, oh, I have so much room to run. I'm stepping over, but I don't eat. It's not when the ass is on the ground. It's when it first pops, I think, is the damage. And yeah, much better from a simple mechanic, difference here. And look how spread out the slime is. Like, I'm not getting surrounded by slime anymore. We got to do the link. Good to go. And we slay it, right? And so that wipe before, that's a me thing. But I'm not so sure that like everyone else in the group knew that either, though, which is okay. Like, by tomorrow, the next day, people have downed this. People like me who are taking basically December off to No Life WoW, and I'm basically just dedicated almost this entire month, which I really wanted to do, because World of Warcraft did the first month as it comes out is fun. It's this progression-y part. I feel like you come in 2 months later, and it's like everyone knows the fight. Everyone's like, why are you wiping? Like, you know, you don't want to pug tank that if you don't know it. I wanted to be on top of this stuff here, and that's what I'm doing. So we do get it. I would chalk that up to bad tank strat, but I didn't know. I didn't know. Now I know. How else you gonna know? I do loot a 200 helmet, but if you watched my previous video, I already have a 200 helmet. I have a 210 helmet from the Great Fall. So I'm like, people are like, oh, congrats on the helmet. And I'm like, yeah, not really, but thanks for getting through the group. And I, as the tank, always apologize to the key holder. I am like, sorry to key holder, sorry for bad strats, you know. I don't have to make the excuses. We all failed together. I was like, you know, Tyrannical is a thing, still learning. And they were like, oh man, it's like super cool. We finished it, right? We finished it, and we did progress. So, Tyrannical, I'm still really bad. See you on the next video.